Welcome back to the Fall Major Expert Division qualifying round, hole number 8. Here we're going to be setting up for a Grizzly rough bump layup shot. I haven't had a chance to work on a send it shot. I may look at that later, but for now, this is going to give us a nice, safe, easy eagle with a good possibility at dropping the albatross. So APOC 5 plus, Grizzly 8 plus. We're using a P3 side spin 1 plus wind 4 ball here. King Slayer. You can use Kingmaker. However, if you do use a Kingmaker, then you'll probably have to make some additional tweaks as far as offset goes on the approach shot. Also, we're going to need to use top spin per wind strength for our drive here so that we don't roll too long. We're setting up at P3 max rest. We're going to have APOC 5 and 6. You'll have 2/3 of the white ring into the bushes at P3 max rest. That little bush is what I'm talking about there. If you see, it has a nice little spot that clips out very nicely for us to give us a nice line to work off of. So that's the line I'm looking at, that one right there. APOC 5 and 6. You'll have 2/3 of the white ring into the bush. APOC 7 is 1/3 of the white ring into the bush, and then APOC 8 is white ring touching the bush, and that is all at P3 max rest or at the top of the plus 16. If you want to use, say, P4 wind 4 ball, which you can definitely do here. Once you have your starting position, you're going to need to add top spin. It's always 0.5 left spin, and then we're going to tweak the top spin a little bit based on wind strength. So if your winds are in the 6s, you'll want to use 5.2 top spin. Winds in the 7s, you'll want to use 5.1 top spin. And anything 8+ mile an hour, only use 5 top spin. In all cases, use 0.5 left spin. There is no curl on this shot, but it is a full controlled overpower shot. So no curl, full OP, nice slow needle. If you have the balls like this, if you have some P4 wind 4 balls here, it slows down the needle even further. So if you're not comfortable with, the speed of the needle using a straight P3 ball, you can always set up with a P3 and then switch to a P4 or P5, as long as it's wind 4 is my recommendation. And as long as you have you're still going to use the P3 plus yard sliders in the app, even if you're using a P4 or P5 ball for the drive and the approach. The adjustments: P3 plus 10% max, no push up, full OP, no curl. The approach shot, so this one, with the bounce up here with the Grizzly, there are some major wind angle changes here on this approach shot, and they drastically affect how this approach shot comes into the hole. And so you will definitely need to pay attention to wind angles and set up and make the appropriate adjustment for each wind angle, right? So I broke it down into 3 major wind angles, but we're always using 1 backspin, 0.5 left spin, and then with spin added, you're going to want to have the tip of the ball guide just touching the front of the cup. Winds in the 6s, you're going to want to aim center cup. Winds in the 7s, you're going to want to aim just left of the stick. Winds in the 8s, you're going to want to aim just right of the left edge, so just inside the left edge of the cup. And then winds in the 9s, you're going to want to aim just left of the left edge of the cup, so just outside the cup to the left, right? Also, you're going to need to use underpower depending on your wind strength for your approach shot, right? So if you have winds in the 6s, you'll play just before circle break underpower, and anything 7 plus will use circle break underpower. I'm sorry, 7s. Winds in the 6s is just before circle break underpower. Winds in the 7s is circle break underpower. Winds in the 8 is circle break underpower plus an additional click of underpower. So find where the circle breaks and then click it one more time up, so you get one click less power. And then winds in the 9s is circle break underpower plus 2 clicks more of underpower. So heavy winds, if you're using a Kingmaker, find your circle break and then click your ball up 2 clicks so that you have 2 clicks less power. And that's, obviously that's because we're getting higher wind push forward. And if you don't use the correct amount of underpower, then you might come in a bit hot. Should still be safe, right? But best chance at a drop is, play the correct amount of underpower as needed for wind strength. Beyond wind strength tweaks, there are wind angle tweaks here, and what that's going to do is it's going to change our adjustments on some of these wind angles. So like I said, 3 major wind angles: tailwind, neutral, and crosswind. Your tailwind is no change, at least none that I've seen in the tailwind angle. In the neutral angle, you're going to need to start adding to your adjustment. So when 6 to 6.5, you'll add 0.2. 6.6 to 7.1 adds 0.3. 7.2 to 7.8, you'll add 0.4. 7.9 to 8.5, you'll add 0.4 to your adjustment and give it 1 click of left curl. Now that is on top of the underpower that you're playing for whatever wind strength you have, right? So if you have 7.9 to 8.5 wind, you're going to be playing circle break underpower plus an additional click of underpower. So you'll find your underpower first, then click it 1 time to the left. I know it's tedious and it's a lot, but for a bounce up free to play option with some massive wind angle changes, this is the kind of stuff that we need to pay attention to if we want to start getting these drops more frequently. So if your winds in the neutral angle are 8.6 to 9.1, then you'll add 0.5 to the adjustment and 1 click of left curl. If you're in the crosswind angle, wind 6 to 6.5, you'll add 0.4 to the adjustment. 6.6 to 7.1, you add 0.5 to the adjustment. 7.2 to 7.8, you'll add 0.6 to the adjustment. If your wind is between 7.9 and 8.5, you'll add 0.6 to the adjustment and 1 click of left curl. And if you have king wind, crosswind, which is 8.6 to 9.1, then you'll need to add 0.7 to your adjustment and 1 click of left curl. you can see that those, I mean, just by the fact that if we go from tailwind to with no change to crosswind, having to add 0.7 to our adjustment, we're getting massive, differences in what the wind is doing to our ball. The only other thing you need to note on this approach shot is that if you're set up in the high end of your plus yards, +6 or higher, then you'll need to add an additional 0.1 to all of the tweaks that I've given you, right? So even in a tailwind, if you're set up in your tailwind, even though it's no change, if you're set up +6 or higher, then add 0.1 to whatever adjustment you have. And then, add 0.1 to the list of tweaks that I just gave you for each different wind angle and wind strength. I know it's a lot. Again, to get a bounce up with massive different wind angles here, crosswind, tailwind, it's just, and everything from 6 mile an hour all the way up to 9.1. That's a large range to play from. It's why I recommend using a Wind 4 ball, so that you can ignore the top half of those tweaks and you only have to worry about, winds between 6 and 7.7. You're going to want to pull this one as straight as possible. And the wind angles are as follows. So if you look, I'm basically, you see right here, just right of that sign, there's some blue flowers in the bushes there. So I'm using the right edge of those blue flowers as my line. And then I'm using this as my line. So there's actually a little bush here. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's kind of like two bushes, or they're kind of slightly separated a little bit. That's where I'm marking my line. So anything over here is tailwind, here is neutral, and here is the crosswind angle. I have had wind angles everywhere from right here all the way to off the screen over here. So I've had wind angles in all of these different areas. And you can imagine that's quite a large range of wind angles here, and it really shouldn't be such a massive difference, especially on something like this where it's an approach shot. But it is what it is. That's why the tweaks are the way they are. So I know it's quite a bit technical, and if you don't feel like going through all of the craziness with the tweaks and practicing and getting the drop here, if you're just wanting, a safe, easy eagle, then you can just do a base spin of 1 back, 0.5 left. By the way, the approach shot, that's our spin set for our approach, is always 1 back, 0.5 left, always P3 +10 add slider. You should always be in Grizzly plus yards. I'm going to give you those numbers in a second. But if you want to just do a base shot, easy eagle, then don't worry about the wind angles. What I would tell you is, if you want to do something simple, tailwind, no change, neutral, add 0.4 to the adjustment, crosswind, add 0.6 to the adjustment, and call it a day, right? Grizzly P3 plus yards, you'll use this no matter which ball you decide to use. +9 is 100, 8 is 98, 7 is 95, 6 is 93, 5 is 90, 4 is 88 slider, 3 is 86, 2 is 83, +1 is 81, 0 is 78, -1 is 76, -2 is 74, -3 is 71. I know it's a lot to grasp, I definitely recommend practicing this, especially if you want to try and drop this albatross here. It is very gettable with this setup. It's just very dependent on wind angle, wind strength, pull angle, right? So there's a lot to look for here, but still a good chance. Easy eagle with a really good chance at dropping the albatross. So best of luck. I hope you all get the drop, and we'll see you on the next hole. That was low wind, neutral angle, or tailwind angle. No change. Good luck, everyone.